everyone, and welcome to our very first episode in our Cricut series of Making It with Mac. Now this will be a great series for you to follow if you just got a Cricut for Christmas, or if maybe you've had a Cricut for a little while and it may be seeming a little intimidating for you. So we're going to start off with small projects and work our way up to some bigger projects, and eventually we're even going to get into projects that are along the same lines of a Cricut, but you don't necessarily need a Cricut for, such as these sublimation tumblers. But I don't like long intros, so let's just go ahead and get started with our project today. We are going to be making a simple t-shirt with iron-on vinyl. So here are the things that you're going to need for today's project. You'll need a shirt. I chose a toddler shirt. This is just going to be for my daughter. If this is the first time that you are making anything with iron-on vinyl, I suggest starting small, so maybe starting with a kid-size shirt. This is a 2T. You're going to need your iron-on vinyl. If you are using Cricut brand vinyl, it'll say iron-on. If you are using another brand vinyl, which is totally fine, it will say heat transfer vinyl. So just remember, iron-on vinyl and heat transfer vinyl are the same thing. But that is the type of vinyl you will need for this project. You're going to need a measuring tape. You're going to need your Cricut mat, a weeding tool, and then to adhere the vinyl to your shirt, you're either going to need a regular house iron and Cricut easy press, or just a regular heat press. Now, because I do shirts on such a large scale, I usually use my heat press. But today I'm just going to use a simple house iron to show you guys that you don't need to start off spending a ton of money on your projects. You can use something as simple as a house iron instead of immediately splurging on something like a heat press or a Cricut easy press. So now that we have all of our items that we need for our project, let's go ahead and get started, and we will move over to the computer and I will show you everything. My little nook that I do all of my Cricut stuff and designing and all of that at. So today we are just going to do a simple design for Valentine's Day. It's just this cute little loved with a heart that I created. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to want to get it uploaded into Cricut Design Space. So what you're going to do, this is really hard to hold and do mouse at the same time, so bear with me. Over here on this side, let me try to get this to focus. You're going to see a little button icon that says upload. Okay, so the next thing you're going to click, you're going to see this. This is all stuff that I have previously uploaded into my Cricut to cut. So now I'm going to click on upload image, and I'm going to find my image by clicking browse. So I have this just saved on the desktop. So I'm going to show you two things. I always save my images when I'm designing as transparent. So that way all it sees is the design that I've created. However, sometimes if you're pulling something off the internet, it may look like this, where instead of transparent, it has a white or colored background. So in this case, if it were transparent, every part of the background would be this checkered board. But because it has this white background, we're going to have to remove that. So because this is just a simple design, one color, we're going to come over here and click simple design. Easy as that. Okay? It's going to register it, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to click continue. Okay, so now right now, if we were to keep this as is, I'll go ahead and show you. If we're going to keep this as is and click continue, all it is going to recognize it is a big box. So what we have to do is get rid of all of that white background. So this is pretty simple. You have three tools over here. This first tool is to select a color and erase. The second tool is just an erase button that you can go through and manually color what area you want gone. And this third tool right here is to crop it out. So we're just going to use this first one. I'm going to show you what to do. So you have that, and all you're going to do is click what you want gone. So I clicked that big white area. And then click inside all of your shapes as well. And this is what it's going to look like. Now, like I said, I generally make all of my images transparent, so you don't have to go through any of this. You just upload it, and it's already like this for you. But I wanted to show you, in case you pull an image off the internet or wherever, and it has a white background, what to do. Okay, so now we can go ahead and click continue. So now it's going to pull up this page. This part is really important. You have to make sure you save it as the right thing. So this first image, which is what it automatically goes to, is a save as a print, then cut image. So in this case, you would be using this if you want to print like a full color image or some kind of full color design that you then want to cut around. Now this one, save as a cut image, is what you're going to want to save it as if you're cutting vinyl. So this will go through and cut out every single letter the way that you have it shown. But if you accidentally save it as a print then cut, it's going to want to run it through the printer before cutting it. So if you're working with strictly vinyl, like this, where you're just doing a simple one color design that you're wanting to completely cut out of vinyl, you need to always make sure to click this second box and click save as a cut image. So after that, you can come over here and you can actually name it if you want to. This one took the name of what I had it saved as a desktop, and then you can tag it for future reference. I'm not going to do that right now because I have this saved on my computer, but if you want to be really organized, you can go ahead and do that. So then what you do is click save down here. So now you have your image in your recently uploaded images. So now we are going to move that into our Cricut design space. So go ahead and click on that image, and then down here you click insert image. Super easy. Okay, so I always save my images really large to make sure that they have good quality. See, this is saying that it is almost 22 inches long, which is way too big for our shirt. So this is where our tape measure comes in. So I have my shirt right here, my tape measure. Again, bear with me because this is hard to do with one hand. But you're going to want to measure so you know how big to make your design. Now, when doing shirts, you want to kind of just center the image. You don't want it to go from like armpit to armpit. You want at least a few inches on either side of the design, because when you think about it, this is laying 2D, this is laying flat, but when you put it on a person, obviously it's going to be filled up and it's going to be 3D. So if you put it from, you know, one edge to the other edge, it's going to wrap, the design is going to wrap around the person. So we want space around our design. So I'm going to say that this looks about right. So that is 6 inches. So for this 2T toddler shirt, I'm going to make a 6-inch design. So now I bring that information back into here, and so I'm going to line up this image exactly at the 0, 0 mark over here. And then I'm going to click this arrow button. I'm going to drag it down to that 6-inch mark. So now you can see the image is 6 inches by 2 inches. And obviously 2 inches in height will fit on this shirt. Just sometimes if you're doing bigger images, you want to measure that up and down height as well to make sure it'll fit on your shirt, but obviously 2 inches will fit on this shirt. Okay, so next thing that we're going to do, now that we have this exactly how we want it, so I'm going to use black vinyl. You can use any color you want, and what you can actually do is click on it and come up here, and you can change the color. This is really important if you're working with multiple colors, so you can keep your colors separated. If you're just going to do one color, if you're going to do black, you can keep it black. Let's say that you want to do red, you can switch it to red, okay? It doesn't really matter with this one color design. I'm going to keep mine on black. It just is what separates the matte colors when you're the mattes like that you're running through the Cricut when you're gonna make your designs. But like I said, we're doing one color here. Okay, so let's move over to make it. Now we're gonna get our Cricut mat set up. So see, it's showing you that you have black vinyl on your Cricut mat. It's gonna automatically put this on here. So it's gonna put it right here in the corner for us. Okay. So then when you come over here, it's going to show your mat size. So because this is such a small design, I'm going to stick with the 12 inch by 12 inch mat. But you do have other options for bigger projects, and we will get into that later. Now, because this is iron-on vinyl, you're going to want to click the mirror button, and I will explain that in just a second, okay? But anytime you do iron-on vinyl or heat transfer vinyl, again, those are the same thing, you're going to want to click this mirror button, okay? So now we're going to click continue. Okay, so no device found. So it's searching for my device. My device is off. So now you can take the time to turn your device on. So I'm gonna go ahead and click my open button. Some of you may or may not have that. It just depends on what Cricut you have, so go ahead and get your Cricut open, and then you can power it up. Once it's turned on, this will start searching for my Cricut, which my Cricut is connected via USB. Okay, so it is loaded. So the next thing that we're gonna wanna do is make sure that our Cricut dial is turned to the right thing. I know it's hard for you to see, but you see right now it's to vinyl. What we want it on is iron-on vinyl. So make sure that is switched to iron-on vinyl so it cuts the vinyl appropriately. And then we'll come back up here. Okay, so now everything is ready to go. We have our mat ready to go on the screen, on our 12-inch by 12-inch mat, and we have the image mirrored, okay? If you want to double check that once you get to this screen, you can click this edit button, and you can see that the mirror is on and that the design is backwards. Okay, so let us go and get our mat actually loaded with vinyl. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our mat loaded. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is take your clear protective layer off of your mat and just set it off to the side. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure that your vinyl piece is big enough. So remember our design was 6 inches wide and 2 inches tall. Now I know that my vinyl piece is already big enough for that. But if you're working with smaller pieces, just make sure to measure. So there's some things you need to know about iron-on vinyl. One side is shiny, and that is the side that has the carrier sheet, okay? And then the other side is not shiny, and it's actually the side that has the vinyl. So the reason that we mirror our design is because this is actually the back of the vinyl. So this is what is going to adhere to your shirt. So when it cuts the design, you want it to be mirrored so that when you turn it around and you actually press it, your design will be the correct way. And the reason that it does this is when you weed the excess vinyl off, your design will be stuck to this carrier sheet, and all you have to do is put this carrier sheet on your shirt and press it. You don't have to worry about like doing each individual letter or anything like that separately. This way you know that your design is going to be perfect. So I'll show you how that looks in just a second. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get our vinyl loaded onto our mat. So you're going to want to take the shiny side, the carrier sheet side, and stick that part to the mat so it cuts the back of the vinyl. So you're just going to line it up. Mine has been cut before, so it's not exactly a straight piece of vinyl. So you just want to make sure that it covers the entire area that your mat is going to be cut on. So my design is 2 inches by 6 inches, like I said, and this obviously covers that completely. So if you are questioning whether it's covered, you can go and pull up that edit button again, and you can see if what you have is a good amount of vinyls for what you're doing. But if you're just doing a regular sheet like this, you're gonna have more than enough vinyl. So you just stick that on there and then press it flat. And again, I recommend starting with these smaller projects so you can start with smaller pieces of vinyl, because when you get into bigger pieces of vinyl, like for the 24-inch mats, it's going to be harder to get your vinyl on straight and without bubbles, because sometimes if you get bubbles, that can mess it up as well. So again, starting with these small projects will ensure that you have enough practice before working into bigger projects. Okay, so we have this stuck on the mat. Okay, it's stuck really good. It's not going to come off. And again, one more time, that shiny carrier sheet is going to be pressed against the sticky side of the mat. So let's go back to our Cricut and we'll get this cut. Okay, so same as before, our Cricut is all ready to go. And how do we know that? We know that now because that arrow is flashing, telling us to load our mat. So this is how you're going to load your mat. So you're going to take your mat and take that little hook, open part for hooks to hang your Cricut mat up, and that's going to be our top. So you're going to stick this into the machine. Now your machine has these little divots, and that is what is going to guide your Cricut in. So you're going to, or guide your Cricut mat, excuse me. So you're going to stick that in there, and you're going to push pretty firmly on it, and then you're going to click that flashing button, okay? I'm trying to do this one-handed. So you're gonna firmly push it, click that flashing button, and it's gonna load it in, okay? Now you can pull on this, and it's not gonna come out because it is completely loaded. So if you pull on this and it comes out, that means you don't have your mat completely loaded and you need to try again. So now that that has happened, you have this button is flashing, okay? So that means once you click that button, it will start cutting, okay? So we have our mat fully loaded. I'm gonna come back up here, check one more time. And it even reminds you right here, make sure mirror is turned on and that the shiny side is face down. So one more time, let's check. Mirror is on, correct. Let's check one more time here. It is switched onto iron-on vinyl, correct. Now, there is a fast mode, which I only suggest using fast mode on certain projects because it can cause things to be messed up, so I don't use it very often. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip that today. But we are ready to go. So we are going to go ahead and click our button, and it's going to start cutting. Preparing to go, and now it is cutting. This is a pretty simple design, so it will not take long to cut at all. All done. So now you're just going to click that flashing arrow to unload your mat. And we got it pulled out. So now let's go back to the table and I will show you guys how to do the rest of the project. One thing I did mention, or I forgot to mention earlier, that you might need is a pair of scissors, just depending on how big your vinyl sheet is. Now I always try to save vinyl, so when I use such a big sheet of vinyl like this for such a small project, what I want to do and what I suggest doing is going around. I know you can't see this very well, but if you go and cut around your design before weeding it, now you still have all of this vinyl left to use. So when weeding, I do suggest leaving it stuck to your mat because it's just so much easier. When starting out, I suggest when you're weeding to weed the big outside piece first. So just take your weeding tool and peel up the corner like so, and then you can just take your finger and you can pull this big piece of vinyl off. Just like that. Okay? Now you can take your weeding tool and you can go through and you can get out all the middle of the letters. Just like so. Now this is a really easy design to weed, and I picked this one because I knew it would be pretty easy. Okay, so all done with that. Oh, got some vinyl stuck. Once you start doing vinyl projects, you'll realize that you'll have vinyl everywhere because it sticks to everything. So now you can pull this up, and as you can see, you still have your clear carrier sheet, and when you turn it around, your design is the right way, okay? So now I will show you how to actually iron this onto your shirt. Okay, so now the fun part, actually putting the iron-on design onto our shirt. So I have my iron heating up, and like I said, you can absolutely use a heat press or a Cricut Easy Press, no problem at all. I just want to show you guys that it's really easy to do with a regular house iron. If you're going to use an Easy Press or a heat press, I generally press this vinyl at 315 degrees for 15 seconds. On the iron, I just set it at the highest cotton setting that your iron has with no steam. Okay, so I'm going to let that heat up, and we're going to go ahead and get our design centered on our shirt. So a really easy trick for doing that is just folding your shirt in half and ironing a line down the middle. So what I do is I like to match up these seams from where the arms start. So I just go like this, match it up, and pull it tight, and then lay it flat. And then what you can do is you can grab the bottom two seams and kind of grab those and lay that flat. So now you have this perfect line, and you can take your iron, okay, hot enough, and you can make a seam down the middle of your shirt. And that will be the middle of your shirt. So you'll notice when you do red shirts, you will get, when the heat, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but you can see where the heat was applied, that it is discolored. That is just because all the moisture is coming out of your shirt, which is perfectly okay. Actually, it's good because the iron-on decal will adhere more easily, better, if you get the moisture out of your shirt. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the other side that was laying flat too, and just kind of pre-press that, okay? So now what I do is I take my decal and I fold it in half too. And this is just a really easy way to make sure that your design is going to be centered and also straight. So I fold it in half and just make sure that the bottom part, all the words, are straight, and then I make creases up and down the carrier sheet. Now this may be hard to see on camera, but I promise that these are there. So then all you're gonna do is you're gonna take your carrier sheet and you're going to match up the crease on the shirt and the crease on your carrier sheet, just like that. Now, how far you put your design down on your shirt kind of depends on your design. This is a really skinny design height-wise, so I put it down about 4 fingers from the very top of the seam. This is how I generally measure. Let me get my measuring tape and I can tell you. So for this design, from the top of the collar seam, I put it down about 3 inches, okay? That is pretty normal for shirts. And the good thing about the carrier sheet is it is sticky, so it sticks on here. So sometimes if I'm not sure, I'll like pick the shirt up and kind of visualize it to make sure that I think it looks like it's in the right spot. Some beginner mistakes that I see is the design is either put way too high, like really tight on the collar, or way too low, so it's like down here in the middle of the shirt. So when you have a skinny design like this, you're going to want it up higher. If you have a longer design, you can kind of, it's going to go down further. But just remember that, play around with it. Like I said, I have this about 3 inches down to the top of the V. So I guess to the top of the design, where the D or the L is, it's closer to 2 inches. So, okay, so our iron, I think, is all, yep, our iron is warmed up. So what we're going to do is, like I said, I have this on the highest cotton setting, no seam. So we are going to take our iron and set it onto our carrier sheet and our vinyl, and we're going to put some pretty firm pressure on it, okay? So I'm going to set this down. I'm going to put firm pressure on it because the firm pressure and the heat is what helps the vinyl adhere to the shirt. And we're going to count for 15 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Because this is an iron, I like to do a few more times, like you can see where the discoloration from the iron is, but that goes away. So now, because this is an iron and it's I'm pushing it down with just my own pressure, I then like to turn the iron this way and go across like that. A heat press is nice because it does a consistent pressure, and once you do it once, you can peel the carrier sheet off and you're good. But like I said, with an iron, because it is a little inconsistent, I will then do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then the same over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now an easy press is nice because it has a bigger iron surface, so you don't have to do multiple presses like this because it covers up the whole design in one go around. But if you don't have that, this is just a good alternative. So now, while this is still hot is when we're going to peel it. So if you're unsure if it's sticking, you can just start with a corner and it easily peeled up. See? And then you just peel it off and your shirt is attached. Or your vinyl is attached to your shirt. Sorry, I'm tired. And you have just made your first vinyl shirt. So most of this discoloration it doesn't happen on every shirt, but especially like reds and pinks, it happens to a lot. It'll go away as it cools down. If it doesn't go away completely, it'll go away during the first wash. Washing instructions for your vinyl shirts. When you put it in the washer, you need to turn it inside out and you need to wash it on cold. No bleach, no fabric softener or any of that stuff. And then preferably you hang dry it, but if that isn't an option or whatever, you can tumble dry it on low. Just remember, the more heat that you apply to this, the more damaged it can get and it may not last as long. So if you want your vinyl shirts to last longer, definitely hang dry. That causes them to last a lot longer. Just remember that heat is what applied this, so heat could cause it to come off too. Another tip is to wait 48 hours before washing when you first adhere it to let it cure to the shirt. Now I am going to go ahead and post this with the tutorial, and you guys can go ahead and download this image for free so you can make your own Valentine's Day shirt. You can size this to whatever size you want. So you can make a onesie, you can make an adult t-shirt, whatever you want. So I hope you guys have fun with this first project. If you do this one, please post in my group and show me that you did it. And if you guys have any suggestions of things that you would like to learn or any questions about this tutorial, please post in the comments. I will answer all the questions that I can. And I'm really excited to help you all on your Cricut journey and make a lot of fun projects and DIYs with you. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.